Okay, so everybody can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So before going to start, right, today's session, anybody has any confusion on any of the topic that you want to review? If not, then I will start the new topic today. So the new topic will be automation testing. Actually, so far we covered manual testing like first 4 or 5 weeks, and then next few weeks we covered Java. So we covered Java because Java will be required when we write automation script, when we do automation testing, right? So Java is one of the popular programming languages that will be used to practice Selenium tool or automation with Selenium. So at this moment, that all three of you, actually 4 of you, will be ready to start Selenium because you have basic Java. So before going to automation testing, so I want to review a little bit about the interview questions that you might you will be actually facing after the course, right? So I want to give a little bit of what is that, like sample questions. Want to show you sample questions, how they will be asked, and what type of question you may see from the interviewer. And you can see from the question that, okay, where are you right now actually? So this is like one of the sample interview preparation document, that like top 50 interview questions that usually you have to answer, or sometimes not all of them, like most of the time interviewer will be asking during the interview. So the first question, you see that, tell me about yourself. So this one, right, this is like, as I said, right, after 4 months, so through the practice and all of this conversation and all of this interaction, you will be gaining similar amount of experience that if 5+ years of QA engineer or QA tester has the knowledge. Means during this training, right, you are gaining some knowledge, like for example, the QA fundamentals, testing fundamentals, the practices, right? SDLC, STLC, right? How requirements are analyzed, the process, all the concepts, how a test case will be designed. Like for example, all of you already had some kind of experience to write a test plan. Before writing a test plan, you did some kind of requirement analysis, and based on requirement analysis, you created some test scenarios, right? And based on test scenarios, you wrote steps as a test cases. So all of this process, right, is actually a very fundamental of experience and basic experience that a 5 years of QA analyst with experience, right? 5 years experience QA analyst actually does every day in like his or her role actually in their project when they work. And now the new topic, automation testing, will be start today. That is very important because nowadays most of the company actually moving to automation. Means so there are several important reasons why automation will be important and why automation testing is getting more and more popular, and kind of every company is kind of moving towards automation because ultimately, end of the day, automation testing will save a lot of time. Will save a lot of time, and also will be more accurate from a different point of view. For example, if you are testing 100 test cases again and again and again, right? You don't need to do same thing manually. So you need some kind of tools or some kind of programming setup that, okay, you will just say, okay, run these test cases 100 times. And some tools or some automation setup or programming language will be running the same thing for you. So when some tools will be running for you with help of some programming languages, that will be actually your automation testing. When you are testing, like using your click, using your finger, or using your manual approach, like you are watching on your eyes and checking everything manually. For example, I see there is a button called share. There is a line written, my favorite 50 interview questions. There is a star, right? You see that there is another button called dock home, right? You see that when I check those manually, this is manual testing, means I'm checking actually same time when I am performing the testing step by step. For example, if you, okay. Okay, so if I go, for example, Safari, where is Safari? Okay, here. So if I go here and check some kind of Udemy course, for example, this is my Udemy course. So if I go to Udemy course and all of these functionality, right? So for example, you are working for Udemy as a QA engineer or analyst, and now you are checking that there is a new functionality under My Learning. So you have two options, right? You can test manually, or you can test with automation tools using some kind of programming language like Java. So what you are doing, so you have you have to create test document, right? Means you have to write test cases, test scenarios. But before that, you need some kind of requirements, right? So without requirement, you cannot do anything. So in the requirement says, there will be a new option, My Learning. And under My Learning, there will be another 4 or 5 sub tabs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. So what is that? In My Course, all of your purchased course or the course you added to your profile. And My List, so My List may have your all of these courses that you did not purchase, but you probably want to purchase, right? Depending on your requirement, what requirement says, based on this, My List will be displayed. Wish list means, okay, you want to, you really like some courses and you want to add under wish list and you will be purchasing later, right? Archive means, okay, you took some courses and these courses is no longer active, or you just delete it from your list. So that could be archive, right? And learning tools, all the helpful tips that you need when you actually follow a course or you practice a course. So all of these you have to do, you have to actually test from QA, right? So first you have to write, you have to analyze the requirement, and then you have to write test cases. So when you write just regular test cases in plain English, that will be manual test cases, right? And manual test cases, you have to follow several scenarios, right? And also you have to make sure that, okay, according to requirement, if this Udemy, right, all of them screens actually applicable for all type of browser. Right now I am in Safari, right? So you have to check maybe Google, Chrome, and you have to maybe check Firefox, maybe Edge, right? Other browsers. And also right now I am in Mac, but you have to also check Windows, right? So all kind of customers are using different type of laptops, different type of browsers. So your automation testing, right now, I went to Udemy, clicking each of these, making sure this, you see that my learning, according to requirement, if this is black and white, this is the correct, right? If your requirement says this background should be green and maybe this my learning should be black, uh, that means there is a defect. If it's all about how your requirement says, what is the expectation from the client. From the client means from the business, and business means client or business or product owner means the owner of this application. So Udemy company is the owner of this application. So someone from Udemy will be kind of product owner. So someone's role will be product owner, and this product owner will be basically representing Udemy's interest, right? Udemy is whatever Udemy want. So this is the process. You already saw this process. So you already saw how to analyze manually, how to write test cases, test scenarios manually. So now you created test cases manually. So your company or your manager now said, okay, please try to convert those manual test cases to automation, to just try to convert it to automated test scripts. Means now you have to write automation test scripts to test exact functionalities. So what are the process? So if you think about automation now, so there are several things depending on your company, right? So maybe your company is using different type of tools. So the most common one, for example, Selenium based, like Selenium WebDriver, Cucumber, TestNG. So Selenium will be the most common one, but still in the market, there are a few other automation tools also that company using. For example, like if you go back like 10 years ago, the number one tool was QTP. There is another tools, UFT, QTP, that was part of HP QTP, but QTP is right now is no longer popular. So Selenium is more popular now. So now Selenium is now getting different type of branches now. For example, now based on Selenium, you have different type of framework every company using. Even though there is a Selenium, but Selenium also has different type of framework that you'll see later actually in few weeks. Next few weeks, we'll be just practicing Selenium. So this is one of the biggest part of your interview preparation and also interview challenges. And basically, as I said, right, this is automation testing and automation testing will be based on programming languages. So if you are struggling in programming language like Java, so you will be also struggling in this Selenium also. But if you have good basic, you already practice and you have good knowledge, good understanding in basic Java and some advanced Java, then you will be actually fine with this Selenium practice also. So the concept is whatever you wrote in plain English, now you will be writing exactly same thing in Java. And tools like Selenium will be helping you actually to automate those web-based applications. So one thing you have to make sure that, okay, there are several tools in the market. but Selenium will be one of the most popular, and we'll be actually practicing Selenium next few weeks. And Selenium will be good for any web-based application. Any web-based application means not Windows-based. Like if you are looking for something in Windows, not that. Like anything has HTTP, means something you can go to website. There's some has website, means web-based application. Anything you can say Amazon.com, you can say Google.com, right? You can say Facebook.com, you can say Udemy.com, something like that, right? So anything is web-based, you can actually use Selenium. And nowadays, every company has web-based application actually. And any banking domain, right? They're web-based. Chase.com or tdbank.com or Bank of America, right? Every company, even you go to your school, college, or university, right? New York University.gov or something, or .edu, right? Everything has web-based platform. So that's why Selenium is popular, because Selenium is very, very actually is good for testing web-based application. So now there are some other important concept you should also know, some features actually. But before going to Selenium features, so I'm going back to again this interview prep doc, right? So if you see this document, I will come back to Selenium again because we still have few hours left. Okay, so you see that these details, right, will be provided by so Jewel will be creating for each of you a resume and will be giving you to prepare for the interview. So you will get your own tell me about yourself where you are ready actually. So that will be customized based on your, right? Each of you will have different tell me about yourself. So based on this information, right, interviewer can ask, can you tell me specifically this? Can you tell me specifically this, right? So that you can answer, right? So the ultimate goal is answering those questions that interviewer asking you actually. And not only answering, like answering with confidence. You see that there are some non-technical questions here. These are like common for everybody. It is nothing related to IT, maybe. Sometimes they will be asking you some kind of questions that will be just showing you leadership. They're showing you like communication, right? Those are like basic thing that you'll see, you will prepare. We'll share you like some sample answer also. But importantly, you will see sometimes they will ask you if you have any question for the company. Like somebody is taking interview, right? And they're asking, okay, do you have any question for us? So probably you have to keep some question ready for them also, right? Like maybe they want to know if you research their company before going to interview. Like if Udemy is taking interview for you, so their expectation is you have some kind of knowledge about their background, right? What is Udemy, what their business model, right? What is the ultimate goal for Udemy, right? So they want to know that, okay, you research a little bit about the company you are taking interview with. You see that a lot of manual testing related questions will be asked. What is SDLC, right? Every steps of SDLC, you already have good knowledge about that. What is STLC, right? Different phases of STLC, right? What is test plan, this type of thing, you already have good knowledge. daily activities of SDLC and STLC process. You see that each of them are kind of starting from requirement analysis and then testing, deployment, maintenance, some details here. What is a test plan, right? What information actually goes inside a test plan? You see that all of this, you already have, you already practiced a little bit already. You did some kind of homework also. What is a defect or bug, right? What is the defect life cycle, right? You already have those information. So manual testing is kind of, you already ready, right? So if some company just do manual testing, no automation, that means you are ready for this job. If you have good QA concept, fundamental of SDLC, fundamental of STLC, how actually the communication, what type of communications happen in a QA team. If you already have this knowledge, you are kind of ready for manual testing role. So right now, there is only one topic that is missing from manual testing, is database, SQL. So database, if database testing is done, that means you are ready for manual testing role. But database will be just 2 classes. So that is, that will be very straightforward. But before database, we just want to start automation testing because it requires more practice. And we just did Java, so it is related. So after Selenium, we will go to database. So all different type of testing, you already know. So you see that one, this is the part right now you are missing. That will be done under, like after actually automation testing. So this is another thing, part 4, right? Automation testing. As I explained a little bit, that what is automation testing and what are some benefits of automation testing, right? You can see this is a technique, right? Performs using special automated testing software tools. That tools means, for example, Selenium, right? Executing your test cases. The manual test cases you did manually, now it will be performed by automation tools. And there are several benefits, right? So there are some process also will be discussed, and you will be actually seeing that from the IntelliJ also. I will use IntelliJ, same IDE that we used for Java. So this document will be actually also shared with you later, because we just started automation. So I think right now we actually first want to do practice some, and then we'll share this. Okay, so now going back to IntelliJ and do little bit of fundamental of automation. Okay. So far, what we did, let me go to create one note. Like new note. So everybody can see my screen, right? Still?
Yes.
Okay. So Selenium is one of the automation tools that we'll be covering. So there are several basic interview questions about Selenium, or maybe sometimes they are not even interview questions, but they are basic knowledge. So what are those? Some features. So you can say Selenium features actually. So some Selenium features can be, okay. What is the first feature? So Selenium actually support multiple programming languages. So what does that mean? So we already know Java, but there are a lot of other programming languages, right, in the market. For example, so we already covered Java. Selenium also covers Python. Then it covers JavaScript. It covers C#. These are programming languages. You probably, so this is if you are a developer, right? If when you go for developer, you will be maybe going for more details, advanced details, right? But for now, since this is a QA course and we are doing Selenium, still 70 to 80% company use Selenium with Java. So we are targeting 80% market at this moment. When you are good with Java, in the future, you probably can jump into Python also. So another like 10% market or company actually use Python. JavaScript, C#, it is not like very popular for Selenium. JavaScript has another tools like Cypress or Playwright. That's different automation tools. But Java is the most popular at this moment. That's why we are targeting Java now. So and also if you want to cover all the programming language, you need like more than a year actually to complete a course. Now this is so much details, right? Each programming language, you see that like you covered Java basic, only Java basic in like 5 weeks. If you need each of these programming languages, another 4 5 weeks, like it's gonna take so long, right? So that's why the target is covering 80% market cap, right? And Java is covering 80% market cap. Excuse me. There are some other programming languages like Ruby, PHP, maybe another one. But you don't have to know all of them. So if some interviewer want to know that, if they ask, is Selenium only cover Java? Your answer will be definitely no. Java is one of the programming languages, but Selenium also covers other programming languages like Python, JavaScript, C#, Ruby, PHP, others, right? You don't have to say all the programming languages. Like if you just say like 2 3 programming language name, that will be good enough. So what other features Selenium has? It supports multiple browsers, right? It supports, you see that all the browsers, right? Chrome, it support Firefox, it support Safari, support Edge, and there is another one, I think is Opera. So these are some operating. There's some browsers. Now, when it comes to browser, it supports also multiple platform like multiple operating system. And what are those? It supports Mac, right? It supports Windows, supports Linux. So what other features you have for Selenium? It is an open source. It is an open source and free. So now if you say open source and free, these are not exactly same. So open source means all the coding for this is also available for end users. Free means the service is free, but codes written are not free. For example, if you think about YouTube, right? YouTube is free for everybody in this world. You can watch YouTube, you can easily watch YouTube just from any browser, right? From anywhere. You don't need to pay anything, but you don't know what is written internally in the YouTube logic, right? The developers, how they build it, what is the development process. So this is free, but not open source, right? But Selenium is free and also open source because all the functionalities internally written in the Selenium can be used by others. So as this is free and open source, we will be using this open source library. So Selenium is an open source library. This library has a lot of written code, and those codes will be actually helping us to automate our web-based application. And we'll see that later. So free and open source. This is one of the important feature. Free, actually just write maybe open source first. Open source and free. So that means open source means you can use their code because this is public code. And free means they are not charging any money for that. Actually, remember I said one of the automation tool like 10-15 years ago was like top of the market, most popular QTP or UFT. That was actually paid. It wasn't free. So every company using this QTP, they had to pay per user, maybe $4,000 a year or $5,000 a year. So if you have like 10 QA, so if you have 10 QA, so if you have $4,000 per year, that means $40,000 for the fee. So now most of the companies are not using QTP because they're so expensive, right? So you have limited users because it is paid. And at the same time, Selenium is free and open source, and this Selenium has a big community, right? So anytime you need any help, there are thousands of people actually have blogs. If you get some error, right? If you search with this error, you will find the solution immediately for the Selenium. So these are some good reasons that Selenium tool is used for most of the companies nowadays. But Selenium has like some limitations. So what are those limitations actually? Limitation means that Selenium does not cover, right? Does not support. These are some basic knowledge. Sometimes they will be asked during the interview, but not all the time. Sometimes interviewer want to check that your basics good or not, right? So what will be the limitation? So limitations of Selenium. So if you think about limitations of Selenium, now it will not use for desktop application. So Selenium tool, it does not support desktop So what is actually desktop application? For example, desktop application is like your Excel sheet, right? You are working on Excel sheet in your desktop. It will not support because this is in your local directory. So in the future, you will see that they have some kind of supporting framework they will be using that can actually read Excel sheet, but it is not directly by Selenium. It will be with support of other third-party tools or other tools, not directly Selenium. So right now, this limitation is directly by Selenium. So it is not supporting desktop application. So desktop applications are not supported by Selenium. And as I said in the beginning, any web-based application will be supported by Selenium. So what is the some other limitation? There are a lot of limitation, but some of them like important to mention. So there is another one. Selenium directly cannot support mobile application, but with help of another tools, we'll see in the future, Appium. Appium will be another tools, or Appium is one of the popular one, but there are some other tools also. Using of them, they can support. But Appium is a third-party tools, right? Also, Appium is a free tool, so we can use it in the future. So it cannot support, I can say, mobiles, mobile apps, right? So this is one. But as I said, Selenium does not support, but Selenium will be supporting with help of third party. So what is the next one? You saw another different type of testing, right? Performance testing. So Selenium is not recommended for performance testing. So we have some other free tools for performance testing. We will check this later. Also, security testing. No security testing. So Selenium will not be used for security testing. And also it is not recommended also. Because security testing will have different type of process. It has different steps. Security team will handle differently. And they have different tools. So Selenium will not be used for security testing. And another important point you should remember, lot of good, means a lot of popular website actually have a feature to, they have a feature that will be actually is anti like automation tools. Like for example, if for your practice, right, if you are using facebook.com, you will see after some time it will be not working anymore because they have a feature as part of security. Like anytime they think that, okay, this account has security threat or what is that, some kind of fraudulence activities, they will just deactivate that account and your testing will not work. So maybe Gmail also will have similar features because they are highly secured. So that's why whenever you practice automation, right, don't pick a website they are like very secured or highly popular. Like for example, don't pick any like really popular bank like chess.com, right? If you just practice automation with chess.com, you will see that your test cases are failing because they have like captcha validation, or sometimes they will have lock option, right? You remember, like after 3 try, the account will be locked. Sometimes that not only lock, like they will be asking you just call this customer service to activate your account. So very popular account website is they are not recommended for automation practice at the beginning. So node security testing for Selenium, but at the same time, right, I said there will be a lot of third-party tools that will be used for Selenium. What are some other limitations? So there is another important thing is reporting, right? Reporting means, so you want to create a report after you running like 200 test cases in Selenium. You are thinking, your manager said, okay, can you share the complete report to me? You don't have any option in Selenium to create a report. For reporting, you have to use either some framework or some third-party tools. So those framework, you will practice we will practice those framework later. Like first few weeks, no framework, because first few weeks we'll be just learning Selenium. First 2 or 3 weeks just learning Selenium, and then we will start some kind of framework. There are 2 popular framework in the market right now, TestNG and Cucumber. So when you use framework, and those framework has reporting options, but frameworks are different, is not by default come with Selenium. So reporting then, so limitation is no reporting, no report generation. I can say no report generation. So this is one of the limitation. What are some other limitation? Actually, so no hardware testing actually. Usually you're not going to do any hardware testing as part of QA. They have different networking team. No hardware testing. So what are some other limitations? I also said no CAPTCHA validation. Remember, as part of security, sometimes you will see CAPTCHA validation. So what is CAPTCHA? Everybody understand what is CAPTCHA when you log in some secured website?
Yes.
Yes. So CAPTCHA validation will not be supported by Selenium. So in the real work, whenever you automate something, right, at work, right, you will be asking to development team to deactivate the CAPTCHA options. So for example, you are working for Udemy, right? So now Udemy may or may not have CAPTCHA. If they have CAPTCHA, now you are saying development team that, okay, don't implement CAPTCHA in QA, because QA will be testing other functionalities. If there is a CAPTCHA, your test case may or may not pass. Sometimes they will be failing because of CAPTCHA. So you will be communicating with development team, and development team will deactivate the CAPTCHA in QA environment, and so that you don't need to validate CAPTCHA. So no CAPTCHA. Also some other like sometimes, yeah, the CAPTCHA, is that right spelling? Oh, this is not right spelling. T, I think. Okay. Sometimes image validation. Selenium will not be used for image validation. Like sometimes you have some testing a picture, pixel by pixel picture validation, that will not be covered by Selenium. Okay, so these are some, okay, some maybe there are maybe few other There are a few other limitation, but you can actually this most of those limitations, right, can be uh, managed by other third-party tools. And what are those third-party tools? We'll see later when we actually implement framework. So framework will have some other stuff also. We'll check this in the future classes also. So now, so this one, these are some of your Selenium features and limitations. These are good features. That's why everybody wants Selenium now, because this is, you see that multi-browser validation, multi operating system validation, right? Open and free. Open and free means company is saving a lot of money. And end of the day, the ultimate goal is saving time. So basically, almost all the automation tools will be used for saving time. And this is the ultimate goal. And saving time with accuracy, another thing. Like if your Selenium script cannot find bugs, this is not actually useful. So if you just write some Selenium code and you are running test cases, but your test cases is not finding any bugs, that's not a Selenium testing, or that's not even like a fundamental of test cases also. When you are not finding a bug means you have to have an assertion. Means any test cases you write, you always should have some line where you are comparing actual versus expected. So whenever you check a actual result against expected, right, then this is a test case. This is a test. Otherwise, if you don't compare, if you just click, 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 run everything, thousands of lines, but there is no validation point, this is not a test. So even though there is only like 3 lines of code, but it is actually checking something, this is a test case. This is a real, this is a useful code. So there is a lot of thing you have to remember. So you have to write a test case the way that it is actually useful, and it will be finding some kind of bug. It will be actually checking some kind of feature. So this is a cross validation, right? You have to have a cross validation feature in your test cases. And this is called assertion. So what is Selenium component actually? So Selenium component still most of the company using Selenium 3 right now. Means they have a version. Remember, we had Java version 8, 9, 10, right now maybe 19, right? Or 20. Selenium also have a version. Selenium had 1, 2, 3, and now right now is Selenium 4. So still, I think like 70% companies still using Selenium 3, but in next few months or next 1 year, most of the company will be converted to Selenium 4, because Selenium 4 is more latest and they have better features. And there are less dependency in Selenium 4. And we'll see this later actually, that how I'm saying less dependency or better feature Selenium 4. So we will probably learning Selenium 4. And at the same time, I will be giving you information what is the difference between Selenium 3 and Selenium 4. So I am assuming the time you will be going to market, like maybe after like maybe 2 months, right? So Selenium 4 will be more popular in the job market. And still Selenium 3 and Selenium 4 is kind of same. There is almost no differences, except there is one extra line of code in Selenium 3. One except that everything is exactly same. Now, so now before going to exact Selenium WebDriver, what are the components of Selenium? So Selenium, maybe components. So Selenium components means the okay. So there are several components in Selenium. So as I said, version wise, right? So as I said, version, right? So Selenium right now, I can say Selenium 3 is still in the market, and 4 is also in the market, but it is getting not every company is using 4 at this moment, because 4 just came like few months back. Now Selenium has actually total of 4 components. And what are those actually? Just little bit. This is kind of basic. If I actually go back, I'm just going, just so now. So Selenium, okay, if I just go back to the this one. Okay, here, just going back to some interview document, right? Let me check the question related to that. Okay, here. You see that, get a little bit bigger. Okay. Tell me what you know about Selenium or Selenium WebDriver. You see that? So you already have some kind of knowledge about that. It is covering all kind of programming languages, right? And Selenium has 4 components here. You see that? Selenium Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. Selenium Remote Control, RC, WebDriver, and Selenium Grid. So our ultimate goal is going to WebDriver, because this is very basic automation and almost nobody use this. Almost nobody use this. And RC actually is actually no longer part of Selenium. Means it is used to be part of Selenium, and this is deprecated. You cannot find this in the market. So this is totally gone from the Selenium branch. And Selenium Grid will be covered, but nowadays Selenium Grid will be used differently, because is a cloud computing now, Amazon Web Services, and you will see there are some other tools similar to Selenium Grid most of the company use. And Jenkins pipeline will be one of them. Basically, the ultimate goal of Grid is you want to run same test cases in multiple browsers and in multiple operating system in different machine. So this is a parallel testing. So for example, if you think you have 500 test cases, now you have 5 different laptops or 5 different machines to run. If you run 500 test cases same time, it probably take 5 hours. Now, if you want to run same time 100 test case in one machine, another 100 test case in one machine, another 100, like 5 different machines same time, in 1 hour, everything is done, right? So if your manager says, okay, can you run everything and give me a regression report? you don't have probably, your manager doesn't have probably 5 hours or 6 hours, right? Maybe your manager want like after 2 hours. So you can use parallel testing. And this is a different setup. Most of the company has this parallel testing setup. And Jenkins pipeline we'll see that later. But eventually this is basically same Selenium WebDriver test cases will be run in different like setup. Means if you have 500 test cases in WebDriver, as I said, 100 same time in different machine, right? So Selenium grid will be the last part of this Selenium. So at this moment, we'll be concentrating on Selenium WebDriver. So whenever anybody says Selenium, right, during the interview or during the conversation, so they will be saying about Selenium WebDriver. So the ultimate concept of Selenium automation is actually using Selenium WebDriver. And whenever I'm saying limitations or advantages, I'm talking about Selenium WebDriver. It is not third-party tools. There is no third-party tools here, right? So as I said, Appium, right? Another mobile testing tool will be used to test mobile apps. That Appium will be connected with WebDriver, and then it will perform mobile testing. And there are some other framework, right? For example, Cucumber or TestNG will be actually working with WebDriver. Remember, I said WebDriver itself does not create any report, right? If your manager says, can you create a report for these 200 test cases? WebDriver will not create a report. For reporting purpose, you need other tool, other third-party tools or other setup like framework setup. You will see that in the future. But everything works with WebDriver. So now if I say Selenium 3 or 4, it is actually, you mean WebDriver 3 or 4. So basically, now Selenium WebDriver is the main part that we'll be concentrating for now, actually. So going back. And components, right? So Selenium has 4 basic components. So what are those? If I say, so first one, so this is for interview purpose. You always have to know those names, even though you don't have to work on IDE, right? You don't have to work on RC. Maybe you don't have to work on grid directly, right? But the concept of grid is necessary. You will see that in the future. So first one is Selenium IDE, as I said. So Selenium IDE, right? So this is basically, as I said, almost no company use this Selenium IDE. If during the interview, if you say, I use Selenium IDE in my project, it's probably you will be rejected actually. So Selenium IDE is kind of very, very basic of Selenium. Basic means this is a pre-setup, just record and run. So Selenium IDE requires almost no programming language knowledge. This is just a apps type of thing. You will be downloading this. For example, let me check if I can download Selenium IDE actually. If I go to, okay. So let's skip these steps. So I'm trying to download Selenium IDE. Okay. So this is Firefox, right? So if I say download Selenium IDE, Selenium IDE, see that? So download Selenium IDE. So Selenium IDE, okay. Let me download actually in the, instead of Firefox, I'm downloading in the Chrome. Okay. This one actually. Selenium IDE. Oh, this is a incognito mode. That's why it is. Okay. Add to Chrome. This is just an extension. You will see right this corner. You see that this is the Selenium IDE just added, right? So if I open this, you see that there is a small tools, the app, everybody can see.
Yes.
So this is a very much basic, like fundamental of Selenium, how it works, right? So it's better to know what is it, like how it works, but you cannot say in the interview that, okay, for my project, for my testing, I use Selenium IDE. So that means if you say I use Selenium IDE, indirectly you are saying I'm not using any programming language, actually. I don't have any programming knowledge. And also this Selenium IDE is very limited to a specific test. You cannot test everything. You can test maybe one test case. If you have like 100 test cases, right? Selenium IDE is not good actually. So now what you do, Selenium IDE, you see that you just added this extension to your Chrome, or you can add to Firefox or Edge or Safari. Now, long time ago, it was supported by only Firefox, but now it is supported by Chrome also. So what you do, record a new test. You see that project? You can give any name actually. Project name is just testing ID. So this is my project name, for example. Then, okay. What will be the URL? If I give Google, for example, .com. So this is my URL, for example. So you have to test something, right, for IDE. Where is that IDE actually gone? Oh, okay, here, base URL, okay. So this is my base URL, right? So you see that this base URL means you test URL. So if you are testing something in your project, that will be maybe something qa.com, right? www.qa.com or something http.qa, something that in QAism. So now start, you see that saying start recording. Now I'm in this page URL. Now I'm typing Udemy login. I'm also just clicking yes, dismiss, right? Then Udemy login. Then I'm going to Udemy course. You see that this is our Udemy that I will be giving you user ID and password soon after the class today. So you see that inside this, there is my learning. And now I'm searching Selenium. And click, you see that there are 12 courses in Selenium. So now I will say to all of you, start one of these courses like Selenium WebDriver with Java Basic. Click there, you see that? This is Selenium WebDriver. Now clicking here, Udemy again, going back to the original one and just close it. You see that this is done. So now I stop recording. Whatever I did, right? Browsing. Now I'm writing what is my test case name? Browse Udemy, right? So this is my test case name. Okay. So you see that whatever you did, right? It is somehow written here. You did not write anything, right? You did not write any Java code or anything. It is already written here. Everybody see each of these steps? So
Yes.
you went to Udemy, you logged in, then you searched some course with Selenium, then you clicked on Selenium. So this is already written, all the steps. So now if you want to run it, you see that? So this is, for example, browse Udemy is one of your test case. Now you want to run it. You see that it is doing this for you. Everybody see that I didn't do anything. This actually Selenium IDE actually doing this. And it is kind of stuck here actually. You see that it came here and passed and somehow it failed. Everybody can see, right? So basically this is IDE. So ultimate goal is you can actually have an idea about how it works. So you are not doing anything here actually. You are not doing anything means you are not writing any code. You are just giving the URL and whatever click you are doing, a particular test cases, you can actually see how it works. But when you have a big project with like 500 test cases, maybe you have other complex framework, you actually cannot use this IDE. You cannot do maybe no reporting. You see that there is no reporting also. There is a lot of limitation in IDE. So basically, this is very basic, just to understand how automation works. It will be good if some like very simple test case you want to just see if it is working or not. But whenever anything complex situation comes, this IDE will not work actually. So that's why I said, let me leave this. So that's why I said IDE will not be used by us, even though we can say, okay, I know how IDE works, Selenium IDE works, but you will be using actually Selenium WebDriver. So the next part is actually Selenium IDE and then Selenium WebDriver, right? So even before that, I said Selenium RC, but Selenium RC is deprecated. So it is no longer available, but you can still say that Selenium RC is another part, right? And what is the fourth option? Selenium grid, right? So Selenium grid is basically for parallel execution. And what is the ultimate purpose of Selenium grid? Basically saving you time, right? It saves a lot of time. Now, there are several other things you have to also know. Selenium server, right? So there are Selenium server. So Selenium server will be basically work like API. So API means there is already a server for Selenium, and inside this server, all the existing, right, pre-written code present. So your goal will be using the concept of inheritance and multiple inheritance. What other concept to use before? Can somebody tell me to use the parent code, inheritance, any other concept you used for? Hello? So if you see this one, right? Source, right? Inside the oops concept, inheritance was one of them, and abstraction was another one, right? Remember abstraction? And outside of abstraction, what else we used? Interface, right? Interface was the another concept. So inheritance and interface will be used for Selenium, right? Why? Because inside Selenium server, as I said, there are lot of classes as interface, right? Is written. Lot of interface. For example, here, right? You see that this is the interface, right? Animal is interface. Now, this interface does not have any body, right? What is interface means, right? Interface means with all of these abstract functions, right? Abstract method, and none of this has body. And you will be just calling those interfaces and add the body. So this is the concept that you will be using actually when you practice Selenium. That's why Selenium server will have all kind of classes and interfaces. And as part of practice Selenium, you will be just calling them and use them, calling them and use them. Okay. So going back to, okay. So Selenium, these are the four basic component in Selenium. And as I said, we'll be actually mostly practicing Selenium WebDriver. And Selenium WebDriver is also called Selenium 3. Right now, most of the company Selenium 3. But in the market right now, you see Selenium 4 also. And we will check both when we practice. Now, Selenium RC, as I said, we are not using Selenium RC. Also, Selenium IDE, we are not using Selenium IDE. Only Selenium WebDriver and Selenium Grid will be used in the future, right? And as I said, Selenium Grid is now a little bit differently used. Is Dockerized grid now, is cloud-based, right? Selenium Grids is now cloud-based. There are a lot of other tools. Part of Selenium Grid will be and you'll see in the future actually. There are a lot of dependencies. So what are the dependencies? So as I said, in IntelliJ, right? Before we created a project with Java. And if I create a project now, you see that file and new, right? So when you select a project, and so far for practice, we used Java and IntelliJ, right? But for now, we will not use IntelliJ here. Instead of IntelliJ, we will be using Maven. And what is a Maven? And we have to actually explain Maven a little bit, because Maven is a build management tools. And Maven will basically make your life much easier, because lot of library, right? You have to manually import, or you have to set up your whole environment manually. Hundreds of libraries you have to bring from Selenium, right? Remember, Java had a library list of library. Selenium also has a big list of libraries that will be used during your project. So now, by using Maven, you don't have to manually import all of these under your project. So all you have to do, you have to just copy one dependency, like 3-4 line dependency, and paste it in the Maven repository or pom.xml. And all of this library will be imported automatically. And how it works, let me create one sample project and show it. So new project, this is right now has no name, right? So what I can do, I can just say January 2023. Selenium. So this is my project name. And location, by default, I don't have to change, is in your local. And as I said, language, you have to select which language you are using, Java. And as I said, for now, for Selenium practice, we are not using this option. Out of these four, you see that for Maven and Gradle, right? There's the option. We will be using Maven. And as you see, my laptop has Java 17. And create. I want to use new window. So, okay. So this is a Maven project. And how you know this is a Maven project? This can be an interview question. So when you saw a project, right? How you can figure it out, this is a Maven project or this is not a Maven project? The important differentiation is whenever you create a Maven project, you will always find a new option or new folder, pom.xml. You see that M means Maven pom.xml. So this pom.xml will be used for all the dependency management. Remember I said, instead of you see that all of this library, these are for Java library, right? But you need to import Selenium library also. So how you can import Selenium library? So to import Selenium library, you don't have to import all of these hundreds of folders, right? Or library in this your project. All you have to do, you have to copy like 3-4 line of code dependency actually, and paste it here. And when you paste it here, it will be refreshed and synced with this project. And you will see more libraries are here. The library will be adding all the Selenium. Right now, there everything is JDK. You see that there is no Selenium, just Java and JDK. That's it. Selenium will be added when we add in pom.xml. And this is pom.xml, right? So this is dependency. This basically all the dependencies will be there. And this is a build management tool. So your build will be managed by Maven, pom.xml. So right now you see this is 17, right? 17 means your Java 17 you are using. And this is by default will be UFT 8. And this you don't have to change any of this. And this is by default, it will be created here. And you don't have to change any of this. All you have to do later when you want to start Selenium, you will be adding some dependency here. And what are some dependencies? So if you want to use dependency, all you have to do, just create another folder here. So in the dependency, there is a folder structure. So right now it ended in project is the final wrapper, right? So you see that this is a start, this is an ending, right? So this is kind of a wrapper, like if you see the like sandwich, right? Is the 2 piece of bread, and then inside the bread there's all the materials like meat or lettuce, tomatoes, everything. So this is like first top of the bread, and this is like bottom of the bottom bread. Like inside this will be all the dependencies that you need. So now if I want to create a dependencies, right now there is no dependency. Now I want to add one wrapper for dependencies. It will be something like that. You have to write this curly bracket and then the words dependencies. You see that dependencies? So dependencies will be parent of all dependency. You see that? Now you see that this wrapper, I just created this is kind of a sandwich, top bread and bottom bread, right? And inside will be all the dependencies. So if you have like 5 different dependencies, you have to write dependencies. So each dependency will have also a wrapper also. Means, for example, if you go for double cheeseburger, right? You will have maybe multiple portion inside a burger. So same thing, dependencies will have maybe multiple dependency. So you can have one dependency or you can have 10 different dependency, depending on your project. You will see in the later. So now, where you will find those dependencies actually? There is a place called Maven repository. I will probably search this Maven repository. You see that Maven repository? This is the place. This is the Maven repository. All of these dependencies in this website, Maven repository. So what you have to type? All you have to type Selenium, Java, right? You see that Selenium Java, maybe this is the wild card, right? Anything, Selenium Java. So if I search Selenium Java, I will get the dependencies for Selenium. You see that this is the one I'm looking for now. So there are lots of version. Remember I said like 60 to 70% company still using till 3.141. But in 2019, April 24, there is a new version started, Selenium 4, right? Version 4. And right now, this is the most stable one. So when you see these dependencies, right? Anytime you see this something like this pink or purple, you see that those highlighted pink or purple, don't pick those. Those are not stable. Those changes are not stable. You see that some of them beta version, some of them alpha version. That means they are not ready for the market. If you see something like this without highlight, you see that these are good. These you can actually use them. So for example, I see a lot of people are using lot of dependencies. For example, 4.8.3, right? This is maybe I don't, for example, this is the latest one, right? 4.9, but I don't want to use the most latest one. I want to use just the previous one, 4.8.3. You see that these 3 lines of code, this is the dependency you need. And right now, as I said, right, there is nothing other than Java and JDK. So now if I add these dependencies here, if I add these dependencies here, you see that just copy. This is now copied, right? So you actually don't need the first line also. You can just simply copy this dependency. And go to your IntelliJ. You see that I created a wrapper class. This is a parent wrapper class, wrapper dependencies. So inside this, I just copied. So this is the outer side, right? So inside this, you can add a lot of other dependencies. So before was dependencies. For a single dependency, there will be no Cs, just dependency. See that? Opening and closing. So right now, you see this is red, right? That means it need to be run here. So you see that there is a small icon, Maven changes. I will just click on this. So that means this red means it is not run yet, and the library or dependency is still not added. So after this red is gone, you will see Selenium stuff will be under this library. So you see that it is running right now. You see that it is running, something is running. You see that this is no more red. So what does that mean actually? That means this, all the Selenium Java dependencies are added here. So you see that now, so before under the external file, right, we had only Java. Now you see that Maven, how many things came? A lot of other things came, right? A lot of other Maven stuff came. And also Java stuff is also here. So this entire library, actually, Selenium library is added. Everybody can see, right, how I just configured everything.
Yeah.
So at this moment, your IntelliJ is ready for automation testing, or you can write now Selenium code also, because this dependency is ready. Now you are ready to go. Just minimizing this library, actually. You don't need to see. So since you actually created a Maven project, so inside the Maven project, you will have several stuff. Before, right, in the source, if you go to the January, where is that actually? Not this. And January 2023, this one, I'm going there. So before, under source, right? Before, when we tested, we practiced Java, and it wasn't a Maven project. You see that there is no pom.xml. And when you create a class, you see that C is just simple circle, right? And also there is source folder has nothing, just source. You added test cases. But now in project, right, you see this is pom.xml is here. This is the biggest difference, because all of these dependencies will be managed by this pom.xml here. And inside the source, you have two separate folder, main and test. So this is a different folder structure, right? So you can use main or test anything. But in the future, when we use framework, remember we said reusability, right? So Java hierarchy, right? Or inheritance or interface, right? All of this. The ultimate goal is saving you time, right? How it saves you time. You can call them instead of writing those again and again. And all of this reusable code, right? You have to create a folder here where you will be keeping all the reusable code. And the second folder, you will be actually writing test cases, for example. And what you are doing, you are creating a parent-child relationship. In your test folder, you are just doing maybe extend word, right? To call those reusable code from parent. So you will see those here later also. This is also another interview questions. What is a page object model? Page object concepts will be very, very important, because nowadays, if you say I used just simple Selenium WebDriver, nobody will be hiring you. You probably can write Selenium WebDriver code very well, but probably you will fail the interview, because interviewer want to see you are not only can write the WebDriver, Selenium WebDriver codes or test cases, but you can, they want to see that, okay, you are writing those code in a organized way. In an organized way means is a page object pattern way, means you can call any reusable methods or class anytime, and you can also use those dynamic way. Dynamic way means if you are using, for example, an account ID, right? For example, you are working in Chase Bank and you are testing some functionalities for multiple account holder. So they want to see you are writing a code such a way that the code is good for all kind of account holder. Means you are not writing some kind of fixed code that, okay, this will work only for one account. So you will be creating some kind of parameter. Remember, we did some kind of parameterized method. So you have to have parameterized method so that it is good for any other user input, not for only single user input. But we'll be discussing this more later. What is other parameterized thing? So if you think about, for example, if I go here, right? If you search something, so if I am searching 10 different soccer player, so if I am searching Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Mbappe, or something, so the way I will be writing this code, it's not written in this way that it will be working only for Messi. I have to write a code that will be working for all the 10 different players, so that a single line of Java code will be working for all these 10 players. So there will be, this is called dynamic way, actually. It means it's not dependent on fixed value. It will be open for any values, basically. Static and dynamic. Static means it is fixed. You can use only for one type of values. But we are not targeting static, we will be targeting dynamic way. So, yeah, I know today is just like setup and how we can start. We'll be involving more practice later also. So now we are ready to go, right? So what we can do now, actually? So we can actually now practice Java, and practice Java means we will write a Selenium code, right? And how can I write this? So first thing, probably we have to select some kind of website, right? And what is that website? We can use maybe google.com. We can use google.com. And also, I think we can just practice google.com today. Then, okay. Okay. So we have a sample here, right? Instead of that, we can create, where is that actually? Let me check. So it is already, okay. So I'm just deleting this sample for now. We will be creating our own sample. Delete, okay. Okay. So you see that Java main or test Java, right? So where you can actually, where you can write your test cases for now. So since today is just the beginning, I can write anything under main for now. So, okay. So first click, okay, create maybe one package, new package. Package name is Selenium day one, maybe. So this is your package. So inside the package, you can create a class. So inside the package, you can create a class, and okay. So if I create a class, so each class means one test case. So I'm writing one test case. So my target is writing one test case to just get the Selenium. What is that concept to start with? Okay. I will create one class here, right click, then Java class. So if I right click and Java class, I can give it name. The class name will be maybe driver concept. I'm just giving driver concept. So here, right? So this is a class, and now since this is a Java, right? To test anything, what is the first thing we usually write to test a Java code, to run a Java code? Can somebody tell me?
Is it like the void string, that line?
Yes, the public static void main.
Yeah.
Remember that that's the main first. This is the first line we always write, right? So public, then static, then void, and then main, and then a parenthesis. Inside the parenthesis, string, then square bracket, and then a variable, usually written as argument, but this is a variable name. Anything can be. So your testing will be inside that. So for now, just check if your Java is working here. How you can check Java is working? I'm just writing something, right? System dot out, right? Dot println, and just writing something. This is just test checking. Java is working. So this is just checking Java. This is basically I'm just testing my environment is working or not, means Java is working. So if I run it, you see that? So Java is working here. So I can see this is just checking Java is working. So what else I can do now? So now I have to write. So one of my test cases, for example, now, okay, since my Java is working, so I want to write a test case. I want to write a test case. The test case will be, okay, I will log into google.com, means I will go to google.com and I want to check that, okay, I am, my page title is Google or not. Basically, I'll be checking the page title. So this is one of the sample testing that I want to start. So how can I do that? So the first thing is just write. So there is a big difference between Selenium 3 and Selenium 4. So what happens to Selenium 3? So Selenium 3 used to be, okay, let me actually go to IntelliJ first. So Selenium 3 used to be asking, okay, you have to give the path of Selenium, or for example, I'm going to Chrome, right? So Chrome driver, you have to download a Chrome driver in your system and then provide the path here. This is Selenium 3. So if I just write Selenium 3, right? So Selenium 3, you always provide the path. Chrome driver means driver path. To start browser. But Selenium 4, you don't have to give the path. I'll just maybe copy. So you don't have to provide the driver path to start browser. So what we do, we will directly just go to Chrome browser. So, but there is a Java concept here. So whenever you want to go to Chrome browser, so you have to create a new object of Chrome driver. So when you create a object, what is the process? What word you use? Can somebody tell me? So now I'm writing a test case. My first test case. So test case 1. Test case 1 will be, okay, launch, okay, launch the Chrome browser. And check the page title. So launch the Chrome browser and check the page title. So this is my first test case. So to do this, right, what I have to do? I have to do WebDriver. So WebDriver is a class, right? And WebDriver class actually inside the library. Remember, we already have a lot of, so basically these classes, right? All of them coming with these dependencies. The dependency we added here, Selenium Java dependency. So the Selenium Java dependency added those stuff, right? And those library already has this reusable class or reusable interface. So anytime those reusable one, right? So you have to actually call them and create an object. And remember, we did during Java practice, anytime we create an object from a class, we always use the word new. Same thing we'll be doing here. So WebDriver, you see that you see that this is the interface. You see that I is interface, C is class. So if you did not actually added this dependency, these libraries, right? will not be there, right? So same thing. So since you already have added the dependency, and now you have this option. So now I have WebDriver interface, and I'm creating a reference object, right? So you can give any name, but for now, since this is a driver, right, I'm giving driver. This name can be my name also. It can be Shanto, it can be anything. It can be Ali, it can be Nadine, anything can be given, because this is just a variable name. So what is now equal to, right? Remember, we use the word new. And then I can use new WebDriver, or there is a concept. WebDriver has all the different browsers also, like Chrome driver, Firefox driver, Safari, like all of these browser or so you driver. So you can directly call them. So since you are directly, you want to go to Chrome driver, right? So you can directly call them Chrome. CH, you see that Chrome driver? So Chrome driver is under WebDriver. So basically Chrome driver is a child, right? And WebDriver is a parent. So this child actually can be created through the word new. This is called top casting actually. So top casting means any child under this WebDriver, right? So can be also called as part of creating new object. So I'm just writing Chrome driver. So this is first step. Anytime you want to use Chrome driver, you always have to create a reference variable of Chrome driver. And this is directly from Java concept. This is nothing related to Selenium. Everybody understood what I did here? Hello?
Yeah.
So now, all you have to do, since you have a reference driver, now you have to just use this reference driver dot see that I actually supposed to write driver spelling wrong. Okay. So anytime you write driver dot, you see that get. So now I am going to Selenium WebDriver. You see that now I started with Java. Now I am following Java plus Selenium. How Java plus Selenium? Remember, anything under Chrome driver, right, will be available here. This is a parent-child relationship. You probably remember that, right? So any variable or any method we wrote under child class or parent class, right? Whenever we use that object dot, it's supposed to available here, right? You remember that? So all of this method, right, is part of Chrome driver. Any method you see here, you see that? There are like maybe hundreds of methods, and those methods actually inside these. So this one is most important part you have to understand. So this line, everybody understood, right? I'm creating a variable for Chrome driver so that you can access Chrome driver. Everybody understood?
Yes.
So now you are using this variable to work with this Chrome driver. So now your target is saying that, okay, you opened a Chrome driver. Now you are saying, please open URL google.com, or please open URL udemy.com. So basically in manual process, right? You say, okay, type google.com and check the title is correct. But now in Java, you are saying, okay, go to URL, this URL first. So you are saying first go to Chrome driver, then go to or type URL, and then third line will be check the title, something like that, right? So you are doing exactly same thing in Java Selenium now. So now I'm using driver dot. See that dot? There is already an existing method written where you will just giving the URL. You see that? You will select that. So get means there is a method already written inside this Chrome driver, and you are basically using this. All you have to do, just give the URL. And what is the URL? I think Google, right? Google.com. So if I say google.com, oh, I wrote wrong. So let me check if I actually can go to google.com or not actually before continue. So if I right click here, right, you see that run driver concept, click there. I didn't do anything. I just clicked there. I just want to see that if my code is working. Do you see that? Google opens. Everybody saw that? I didn't do anything. It's just automatically Google was open. Everybody saw?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm saying, okay, so Google open, right? So what else I can do? You see that exit code 0? That means you test case passed. For example, this is passed, right? So even though this is just like 2 lines of code, one line is go to Chrome driver. Second line is, this line is in one step. You can say in manual process, right? This is one step. This is step 2. So now I'm saying, I opened the Google and now I want to close this browser. Close the page. Same thing you have to do. Driver dot. If you say dot, you see that close. You can also say quit also. This quit or close, both will be closing. So for now, I'm just using close. But there is a little bit of difference. We will discuss more. So I can run again. So the Selenium will open the browser, open and type the google.com, go to google.com and close the page. Right click, run. You see that it's automatically closed. It's in a second, it closed, right? Everybody saw?
Yeah.
So you see that like in 2 seconds or 1 second, it is done. But if it was a manual process, you have to type google.com and then it's like another 10 seconds, right? You see that is like 10, 15, 20 times already faster. So what you want to add here, our original goal was check the title, right? Page title. So I want to see the page title is Google. Something, right? So you can add this driver. You see that driver is a variable, and then dot. You see that get title. All of this predefined method is written already. So ultimate goal to use Selenium WebDriver is how to use those. So based on your need, you have to figure out how you will be using those, basically, step by step. Now, if I give page title, and now I end of this, if I run this, will I see the page title? There is no page title. Why there is no page title actually? Because I didn't write print ln, right? You want to see anything here, you have to write this, right? Remember, to show something. So same thing, I can write page title inside the print method so that you will see it here. So this part, everybody understood this part, what I just did?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see page title here. I'm just writing run now. And I'm hoping there will be page title written. You see that Google is written now? Is this a valid test case? Can somebody tell me if this is a valid test case?
Yes, because the exit code 0.
Actually is no, this is not a valid test case because I saw the Google, but did I write anywhere that this Google is expected or not? I didn't write anything that this Google is expected or not actually. So what I have to do, one thing you can do, you can write two variable and just compare two variable. Now, if you say if remember if else statement, let me refreshing you 1 second. Recent this one. So if you go there now, where is the if else concept? No. Week 2 maybe, right? Yeah, if else, right? Remember if else concept. I said there is some kind of validation logic, right? If this equal to this, then test case passed, something like that. So I will write something like that. You see that? I will create two variable. One is actual and another is expected. And then compare these two. And how I will do that? So I'm just, okay. So I'm just showing you. going there, right? So I'm just keeping, actually. So I keep this code inside a multi-line comment. That part you understood, right? How to write multi-line comment. So now, before going to if else, I'm saying to make a valid test case, I have to do two things. I have to just make sure that what you need, it is coming or not, right? But even after that, you have to check, okay, you found the page title. Now, if page title Google is correct or incorrect, you have to check this, validate this, the assertion. So if I say, okay, I will just now create two variables, string. And since those are not number, right? These will be string. String, I can say expected. So string expected equal to string goes inside the double quotation, right? And this is Google, right? So expected is Google. So string actual. What is actual? Equal to, I'm just writing 1 because I probably do more validation in the future. So just 1, and this one actual 1. Okay. And I am writing actual equal to this driver.get title. So this part, everybody got it? That what I just did?
Yeah.
So my original goal is making sure just comparing these two. So now I'm saying if, so now I will say if this Google, right? If expected contains this one, then test case passed. So if now, how I can write actual equal to, okay, if actual dot, you see that contains, you have a lot of option here, but for now I'm just using this. And inside that, right, what I should give? Expected one, right? Okay, so this part you understood? So far, this line, this the logic. Test case passed. I'm saying I'm just saying test case passed. Then if it is not same, then test case will be failed. So I will say else, right? You can give a space or you cannot give a space. It doesn't matter actually. Then else. So similarly, you saw this before, right? Similar thing we practiced before. The true will be past, false will be fail. Test case failed, actually not passed. The false will be failed. So now, if I run this, what is the expectation is there? You see that now? Test case passed. Everybody see?
Yeah.
So now you can say this is a valid test case. Means the purpose was fulfilled. Before Google, it displays Google, but you don't know this Google is, it can be anything. So now you are actually getting something expected from requirement. So your requirement says the expectation of title is Google, or expectation of title is Amazon, expectation of title is Facebook, right? So you are just comparing. So there you will see more comparison different way. This is just if else, right? You will see assertion in different way. But today I'm just showing if else, right? But there are many other ways to check and validate, right? That it is right or wrong. So now, what else we can do? So you can now go and back. There are a lot of other things in Selenium that you can actually practice here. So just let me remove this one first. This you don't need anymore. You also actually, you actually don't need this title anymore also, but it's okay. Okay, so when you log in some driver and you go to some website, right? So sometimes these websites, for example, these are something like, what is that? Something like small, right? They are not. You see that sometimes those will be like smaller, right? They are not in full screen. So to do this, there is another code you can actually use. So when you go to google.com or something, you have a driver, right? So driver dot, you see that the driver dot set size dot window or dot set actually going there before. Okay, so now, okay, so sometimes this thing happens, right? Like there is a lot of hacking and other thing. You are clicking on some website, but it is going to different location. It's like you have to sometimes make sure that you are in right URL or not. So what happened if you want to check your URL? You checked page title, but now you also want to check URL also. So same thing will be like driver dot, you see that current URL, you see that current URL. So sometimes you have to check your URL also for security purpose, right? So since this is a current URL, right? I did not write any print method, it will not display. So I have to just display using the print method. Just write and so now you will see URL also will be displaying here. You see that www.google.com. So you can easily check URL also. So now let me check with maybe some other some other URL maybe. Google is just okay. We also did some exception handling also. Let me check if we can use exception handling here. Okay, so this is one of the test case, right? So now we will use maybe another test case. Driver concept is done. So now we'll right click and we want to go to get method again, checking another use case plus and what is that? Something relative name. Get and to method. Get and to method. So this is one of the just name. So for going to browser, what you have to do? If you go there, right? All you have to do, you always have to write public static void main, right? So I'm just doing copy and paste here now. So you can always do copy and paste. I don't need this. You already covered this one maybe. So if I run this, I will go to Google. So there is another one. Instead of get, right? We can use another word also. Navigate. So if I use navigate, it will be exactly same. But when you use navigate, there will be extra layer of 2. And for example, I want to just use the word navigate. What I have to do? I have to use driver dot navigate. You see that navigate? So get and navigate ultimately will be same thing. So it will be typing the URL and go to that URL. And then dot. Then you see that to string URL. It's exactly same thing now. I'm just using Google. So sometimes this can be an interview question: is get is the only method or not? Get is not the only method. You can go to navigate to also, navigate.to. Also another method to go to some website. Same thing now, driver dot close, right? So if I run this, it will be also, you'll see exit code 0 should be. You see that this is also passed. This is right now is just, we went to the URL, is not a test case yet. So you have to use some of this functionality. So now if I, okay, now if I, before going to close, right? I want to type amazon.com. On google.com, basically, we already typed google.com. Now, before going to google.com, on google.com, I want to type amazon.com. How it is possible? So basically, driver dot, same thing, I'm just going to navigate. You see that, navigate, and then dot to, and what is the amazon.com URL actually? So this is amazon.com, right? I'm just getting the copy. So if I run this, what's gonna happen now? I'm not closing it. So it's basically going to Amazon, right? Now, if I want to go back to my google.com, what I have to do? There is an option also. So now I went to Google, I typed amazon.com. I am now in amazon.com. So now I decided I want to go back to Google. Should I type again? Now I have another option actually. I can do driver dot navigate dot back. Basically, you remember, you sometimes go back button, you click on back button. So this is basically back. So you can see again. So before we saw it went to actually, it typed actually Amazon on Google, right? So now it's supposed to open and go back to Google again. That's our expectation. It will be Google, Amazon, and back to Google. You see that? Everybody saw, right?
Yeah.
So this is like use of back button in Selenium. So it is displaying, you see that since I did not activated this close, every time I am opening is a new page is opening. You see that? Everybody see, right? So if I just remove this, every time it open, it will be also closing the browser. So it's not will be like open every time again and again. So that's why sometimes you use close button, because close option, because you don't want to see like 10, 15, 20. If you have like 20, if you have like 50 test cases, right? You will see like 50 Google screen open.
I have a question.
Sure.
So like you said, when we type the back command, like the Google opens the Amazon and then it goes back to Google. But let's say like after Amazon, I open Twitter, and from Twitter, I want to again go back to Amazon. So when I write the back command, should then I have to write the link, the URL to the Amazon, right?
So anytime you go to new URL, so you have to give the new URL. So now if you want to go to, for example, you went back to Google, right? So
Yeah.
now you don't want to type Amazon, you want to go forward again, Google.
Yeah.
Amazon. So you have to, there's another option is forward. Driver dot navigate dot forward. So it will be same thing again. So basically back and forward also you can use in Selenium. So now you are in Amazon, back will move back to Google and forward will back to Amazon. You see that?
Yeah. Okay.
If you run this, actually, it will be open and closed. You see that Amazon open and closed because I give this close one option.
Yeah. Okay.
So there is like hundreds of functionalities, actually pre-written method inside the Selenium that you will be basically using again and again. So now let me go back to some other URL where we can practice a little bit more differently.
Oh, sorry, I had one more question.
Sure.
So like you said, like navigate and get are like one and the same thing. Is there like any situation or under which like we have to only use get or navigate, like like specifically like I know you said like they both are the same, but is there like any other situation like specifically where we have to use get or we have to only use navigate?
So anytime you use URL, right?
Yeah.
You can use either get or navigate, but for some situation like that, you want to use the backward or forward. So that time is navigate is the option.
Okay.
Because you see that when I use get, right? I don't see any forward or back option. You see that?
Yeah.
But when I use navigate has like few hundred other options also.
Okay.
You see that navigate and then dot, you will see all of these other refresh. So for example, you want to refresh your page. You see that?
Yeah.
So if you want, like, there is a lot of other option under navigate too.
Okay.
Get has some specific option, but when you open a URL, this situation, navigate and get will be exactly same.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So now if you want to check some other thing, for example, okay, let me check if there is any. 1 second. I'm checking some test. Checking one of the test URL that is hotspot. Okay, I think this one is one. Okay. So, okay, this is one of the, I found this is a test for automation testing group used sometimes. So now I will go to this login screen, right? And actually go to this. Okay. So this one automatically by login, right? So this screen I will go and I will type some kind of email address, some kind of password, and also click in login. And I will check if I can test this. You have also option, you can sign up an account. So one of the test cases I will be doing like kind of negative test scenario. Remember negative test scenario? So this is, for example, I'm assuming this is a secured website. And now I'm using some of my email ID and some of my password and click in login. So my expectation will be there is some kind of message saying that please provide the valid user ID or password, or please provide the valid credential, right? So this is kind of negative test scenario. So let me check if I can go to this URL now. Is that? So if I okay, create another class, new Java class, and using test login. So at the beginning, I'm just using very, very basic Selenium concept. So we will be going a little more advanced in later classes also. So exactly same thing we'll be doing, right? I'm just copying paste. So I'm just removing this. So instead of Google, I will actually type this one, right? Let me check if I can go to this screen first. So far you understood what I just did?
Yeah.
Okay, just run this. Okay, so I can access this screen. You see that the screen is open. So my next target will be provide some email address to this field. So now when you think about this field, there is a new concept is coming in Selenium now. This is called locator concept. So locators means the address of web element. Anything you see on this screen, right? These are called web element. In the website, right? In the web screen, anything you see, this is a web element, this is a web element, the writing text is a web element, this field is a web element, this link, right? Google link is a web element, this login button is a web element, right? Anything you see on this screen is a web element. This is a basic concept. An interviewer can also ask, what is a web element, right? Anything you see on web page is web element. Now, to find this web element, you have to check with locator. So locator is kind of address. So developers build this page, right? So when developer build this page, going back, so HubSpot is a company, for example, maybe this is Amazon or something, right? And developers actually have written code internally, right? So you will be going to this internal code and check the location. So there are several ways to check the location. This is the location will be another one entire class, the different type of locator. They have a different type of locator name, and each locator will be differently. So now, what is the locator? There are, I think, 8 different type of locators. So if I go back to some kind of locators in Selenium, you see that 8 locators in Selenium. This is an interview question, actually. You have to know those locators' name. If I go here, you see that CSS selector, XPath, ID, class, name. You see that first one is identify, right? Is just body, but this one has one entire class. Probably next week, I'll be covering just the locators, these 8 type of locator. So for now, testing purpose, I'll be probably using 1 or 2 of them. I will not go too much details for now, but I'll be using them because we have a separate class on this, because there's a lot of interview questions on locators. Okay. So how you find those locators? That's another technique you have to follow. So anytime, for example, this is a page. So now my goal is to write email address. So to write email address, you have to tell Selenium where you want to write email address. This field, right? Email address field. But Selenium doesn't know this field by default. You have to tell them, okay, this is the field name. This is the locator. So you have to right click. You see that inspect, one word, inspect. If you go to inspect, now you will see there is a button, is that select element, that in the corner. And you will see, actually first see there is a lot of sub tab, right? You are going to elements. You see that web elements is element. So far everybody saw how I went to this page. Actually, I'm going back again. You will go to the field that you are looking for to find the locator, right? Right click and go to inspect. And when you inspect, you see there is a corner under, you'll see you are in this element subtab, and click on this corner and go to this field. You see that? Now you can see this field has an ID, user name. You see that? Everybody can see?
Yeah.
And this user ID, you can directly actually write, you can directly locate this with ID. So ID is always has the high priority. There are total of 8 locators, right? If some locator has ID, always use this ID. So sometimes you will find some field that does not have ID, that has something else. So you will be using those. So there are total 8, right? So not every time, every web element has ID. So for example, if I go back and go to this link, Google link, right click, inspect. Do you see any ID in this link? There is no ID, right? There is no ID. So you cannot use ID to find this link. You have to find with some another thing called web link text. You see that link has a text, sign in web Google. This is link text. So, but as I said, I will go more details in next class because this is a big class about finding the locators. So going back again, right click, inspect. You see that username? I'm just copying this username for now. So, and writing it, just commenting, and under comment, just putting the username. And I will do another one. Username is for username, right? And what about the password? So same thing, you have to type some password also, right? Right click, inspect, and this is ID is password, right? I am also keeping this because in my code, I need these two, right? For ID, password. What about the button called login button? If I give something ABC, something at gmail.com, right? So you see that you have a login button also. When you give some email ID and password, then you can click login. So if I right click on login, inspect, you see this is a button and ID. There is ID actually. So let me check, right? So I need those three to test my feature, right? So if I go now, so if I click on this, if I click on this, what is the expectation? You see that email address does not exist. Now I will right click. I want to check if this text is, I can see. You see that this email address, I'm also just copying this line because I may have to check this because you see that my negative test scenario, right? It is saying here does not exist, but maybe another scenario, they will be writing that please provide the valid email address. Maybe another company will be saying your user ID and password is not correct. You see, depending on company to company. I'm just keeping all of this here ready so that I can use this for my testing. So far, everybody understood what I just did?
Yes.
Yeah. So at this moment, like you actually know basic Selenium already. So you already have kind of idea about the automation with Selenium at this moment. So same thing I will be doing. I have a driver, right? So I want to check. I want to now go to this, whatever I type here, right? It can be anything, any test data. So I'm writing my test data here. These are my test data. So in your manual process, right, you always provide, okay, type this in this field, type this password in this password. Same thing I'll be writing in basically in Java concept with Selenium. I will be writing driver dot. You see that find element. Find element means you are telling Selenium that please find the element with this field. Which field? Username field. And then by. You see that when you say by, right, all 8 types of locator is there. But what is our target? To use just the ID for now, right? You see that? Everybody can see, right?
Yeah.
We'll use all of them actually eventually. Like XPath is the most important one for interview and for your project point of view. But if you have ID, just use the ID because this is the safest way. I'm using ID and I gave username. I'm just copying username that we already copied from the code, right? So this is the address. And then what is the next dot? So, okay. So the idea is when you actually so this is the address you gave, but you did not say what is the email ID you want to use. So now you want to type something, find elements, and then dot send keys. So typing is in Selenium is send keys. So what is send keys? Send keys is basically typing some information on some field. Okay. Dot keys. Okay, is here. You see that send keys? And I will probably give this email ID. What is the email ID? Oh, I have to. Any email ID. You can give any test email ID. I'm just, whatever I typed here, I just giving here. And email ID is a string, right? Since this is string, this will be going inside the double quotation. So now, I want to check if my code is correct or incorrect, right? So if I run this line, right, of code, my expectation will be it will open a page, HubSpot.com login, and it will be typing this, not this part, just the typing this. Let me check if it works or not actually. Right click and run. Everybody can see it typed already. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next line will be, this is one step is done, right? Type email address. Now I will be saying, please find the password field and type password. And after that, my third step will be, please click on login button. Then fourth step will be, since this is a negative test case, right? Please check this line is present. That email address does not exist. You got the idea, right? What I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So now exactly similar stuff I will be writing. Driver, you see that? Dot, again, find element, then by ID. Then inside the ID is a string, so it will be going inside the and dot send keys, right? Anything you want to type will be going through this method, send keys method. And this method, all of this method, right? By ID, by send keys, whatever, is we already got through these dependencies. And everything is here. Libraries, we already imported. And here I'm giving something like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? My password may be 1, 2, 3, 4. And password will be going inside as a string. Even though this number, you never put this like without string. So anytime password and user ID will be always string, even though just the number. So if I run this, you will see. I'm just closing this stuff. If I run this, you will see it will type password also. You see that password also type. So another thing I want to type, maybe I want to click on there. So there is a chance, right? There is a chance that, okay, going actually close this first. You see that this login button is still is not active. This probably this website is, I don't know, this website has some problem, maybe. I have no idea. Because if this is not active, you see that? So you cannot even click it. Everybody can see?
Yeah.
So there is maybe some problem with this website that I'm testing.
I
But
think
anyway,
I click it because the password is too short.
that's probably the reason. This is maybe a business logic you are testing, right? If
Yeah.
if you remember the password, you have to know according to the requirement, right? If password should be 6 character, 6 digit or 10 digit. So I don't know, right? So this is another negative character, right? Negative scenario inside negative scenario. So maybe you are right, password short. I'm adding maybe another 4 line. See that? You are right. You see that 4 character or 4 character long is too short. It's probably 6 character, 8 character, the minimum requirement. You see that how you can actually test a lot of things. So now I'm changing my password, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will be. So if you go to this screen, right, you can easily check multiple functionality. You can check if you forget the password, you can click forget the password. If you want to remember yourself here, click on remember, right? 2 additional functionality also, you have to write 2 different test cases. So my maybe goal is I will click and check the negative scenario. And for your homework, maybe you will do other 3, 4 scenarios by yourself. Okay, now go there. So now click on login button, right? Same thing, driver dot find, see that find element. We'll check find elements also in the future. But right now we are dealing with only one web element at a time. By same thing ID, right? We are checking with ID and ID is login button. And you are not typing anything now. What you are doing, you are clicking, right? This is not type, this is a click. So click has another method. That is dot, is that click here? Everybody can see?
Yeah.
So dot click. So what is your expectation now? The expectation is you will see something written this one, right? Driver dot find element by. So now you see that partial link text. This is not ID anymore. We saw some kind of link text, right? Text on the link. Everybody see this one?
Yeah.
This is some text on the link. Or let me go and inspect again. This is not even link. Okay. By ID link text tag name expert. Okay, so link text for now. And oh, not this. I'm just writing this. I'm assuming this will be failing. So you see that it couldn't find this one. So this is not a link. So we have to find through XPath, this one. So XPath is a like a advanced topic. So I think this line I will cover next class. But before that, I want to cover another one also. Yeah, because this is not a link actually. This is just a text. So now, okay. Click here. And I want to see that I am still in login page. Or another thing I can do, right click, and you see that copy. I'm just doing copy XPath. Let me check how big is that XPath. 1 second. Okay. So it seems like, okay. So you see that this XPath is a little bit complex, right? Because this is, I will cover next class. So, but still I just copied and used the XPath just to make sure this is passing. I'm writing through XPath. Okay. So if I just run this, just want to make sure if this is passing or not. So this XPath also is not working. So we have to figure out with customize XPath actually. So customize XPath is actually, as I said, is a next class topic. So I will actually do this one. Okay. Instead of that, I will check that, okay, we are still in user login screen. Okay. Dot get URL, current URL. Actually, so Okay, so I want to see the current URL, and I want to confirm something like that. If-else statement. So instead of 1, I'm just giving 2. So here, okay. Actually, okay. First, I will run this first and check the code is passing. Okay. Okay, so this has passed. Okay. So this is the current URL. So okay. So this part, everybody understood what I just did? I'm checking the current URL for this page with if-else statement. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I'm just running this again. So test case passed. So the idea was, since this is part of your advanced locator concept, I will cover this next class, because next class I'll be covering all these 6 locators actually, because these 6 locators, not 6 actually, 8 locators. These 8 locators will be part of your interview and will be part of your everyday Selenium code with the details. And then you will see that this type of validation will be very, very easier for you. So what I can suggest for now, so since we just started, and you can start practice also from your side. One thing you can do, you can practice this type of website wherever you find something you can actually type. Another thing actually I can probably give insurance demo.
I have to get going, so I'm just gonna log out right now.
Yes, actually I'm done actually. So okay, so I will be done right now. The homework actually I will send in details actually what you can practice, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So basically this is basically end of today. I will close it. So I will send a detailed homework email actually, or WhatsApp message.
Okay.
This is a lengthy class. Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.